Hey there. If you're tuning in, uh, I'm guessing you're either getting ready for a trip or maybe you're brushing up on your English skills.
Yeah.
Or, hey, maybe you're just fascinated by how language works. Whatever your reason, you're in the right place. Today we're doing a deep dive on something that you might think is pretty basic, simple sentences. We'll be using a beginner English lesson as our guide, but
Oh, yeah.
trust me, we're going way beyond the grammar books here.
It's so easy to underestimate the power of simple sentences,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, they're the foundation of all communication. But what's fascinating to me is how these like seemingly basic phrases can reveal so much about us in the subtle dance of social interactions, you
Yeah.
know?
That's exactly what we're going to uncover today. So we're talking about the hidden power of simple sentences, how they shape our connections, express who we are, and help us navigate the world. Ready to dive in? Let's start with something we all use every day, greetings. Our English lesson highlights phrases like, hello, how are you? Or, good morning, how's your day? Now, I'll admit I tend to use these interchangeably, but I have a feeling there's more to it than meets the eye. What do you think?
You're right. There's a subtle difference in tone and intention between those two greetings. How are you? It's kind of like a standard, almost automatic phrase. Well, how's your day? Suggests a more genuine interest in the other person's experience. It kind of invites them to share a bit more, creates a warmer, more personal connection right from the start.
Makes so much sense. It's like choosing a more welcoming doormat for your conversation. I'm curious, do these nuances vary across cultures? I've heard that in some languages asking, how are you, is reserved for close friends and family.
Absolutely. Cultural context plays a huge role in how greetings are perceived. For example, in French. The equivalent of how are you might be considered overly familiar if used with someone you just met.
Wow, that's really interesting. Makes you realize how much we take for granted in our own language. Okay, so we've learned that even simple greetings can have hidden depths. Let's move on to introductions. Our lesson gives us those classic phrases. My name is Canny. I'm from. I work as. Ham. Seems pretty straightforward. But is there a strategy behind this seemingly simple formula?
There is. Even in these basic introductions, the order of information is quite deliberate. You start with your name, establish your identity, then sharing where you're from can create a sense of common ground, and finally revealing what you do often signals your social standing or interests, which can subtly influence how people perceive you.
Okay, so there's definitely more to introductions than meets the eye, but I'm particularly interested in that classic question, what do you do? Is it just polite small talk, or are we secretly sizing each other up?
I think it's a bit of both. On the surface, it's a way to get to know someone you know, find shared interests, keep the conversation flowing. But you're right, there's often an underlying social dynamic at play. Our occupations often carry social weight, and this question can be a way of gauging where we stand in relation to each other.
That's so true. It's almost like we're playing a mini social game, trying to figure out who has the better job or more impressive title. But isn't there a risk that this seemingly innocent question can create unnecessary competition or judgment? How can we use this knowledge to connect more authentically?
That's a great question, and it highlights the importance of being mindful of the potential impact of our words. Maybe instead of immediately jumping to, what do you do?
Yeah.
We can focus on asking questions that invite genuine sharing and connection, like, what are you passionate about?
hmm
Or what's something you're working on that you're excited about?
I love that. It shifts the focus from status to shared humanity. Okay, so we've talked about greetings and introductions. Now let's explore those moments when we need to ask for help. Our lesson provides phrases like, can you explain? Or what does this mean?
hmm
These might seem straightforward, but they actually tap into something quite vulnerable, don't they?
They absolutely do. Asking for help requires us to admit that we don't know something, which can be a challenge for many people, but it's also an incredibly important step in the learning process. Think about it when you ask for help. You're acknowledging that you have a gap in your knowledge. You're essentially saying, I need you. I trust your expertise. That takes courage, especially in a world that often values self-sufficiency and expertise.
I had thought about it that way before. It's almost like asking for help is an act of trust, not just a way of getting information. It makes me wonder if the way we phrase our questions can impact how likely we are to get help.
You're absolutely right. The way we ask for help can make a big difference. For example, instead of just saying, what does this mean? You could try something like, I'm having trouble understanding this. Could you explain it in a different way?
Yeah.
This shows that you've already put in some effort and are genuinely seeking clarification.
That's such a helpful tip. I'm going to try that next time I'm stuck. Okay, moving on to something a little more lighthearted. Our lesson also includes sentences about daily activities. Things like, I wake up at 7 o'clock. I eat breakfast. I go to work. These seem pretty mundane on the surface. What insights can we glean from these simple descriptions of our day-to-day lives?
It's true. These sentences might seem ordinary at first glance, but they can actually reveal a lot about our personalities and priorities. Even the most basic routine can become a story when you add a little detail and perspective.
You know that feeling when your alarm goes off
Yeah.
and you'd rather just stay under the covers? I bet you have a morning routine that's either super organized or delightfully chaotic. What gets you going in the morning?
Well, I wouldn't call myself a morning person, but I do find that a mindful cup of tea and a few moments of quiet reflection help me set the tone for a productive day. But your point is well taken. Even seemingly mundane details, when shared authentically, can create a connection. It's like giving someone a glimpse into your world and inviting them to share theirs in return.
Exactly. It's the little things that make us human, right? Speaking of everyday interactions, let's move on to shopping and ordering. Our lesson gives us phrases like, how much is this? I'd like to buy this, please. And, can I have some water, please?
Yeah.
Gotcha. These are all about getting things done. But I'm sensing there's more to it than just the transactional aspect.
You're picking up on something really important. We often think of these interactions as purely functional, but the way we use language can shift them from transactional to relational. Those simple pleases and thank yous, while seemingly small, can make a huge difference in how these exchanges feel.
Okay, I see what you mean. It's like adding a human touch to these everyday transactions. It's not just about getting what you need. It's about acknowledging the person on the other side of the counter.
Exactly. It's about recognizing their humanity and showing respect, even in brief encounters. And those small gestures can have a ripple effect, creating a more positive experience for everyone involved.
I love that. It's like we're subtly shaping our social environment with every interaction.
Hmm.
Okay, let's venture into the realm of the unexpected. Getting lost. Our lesson provides sentences for asking directions. Things like, excuse me, where is the bus stop?
Mm.
Or, can you tell me how to get to the train station? Now, I'm not sure about you, but I have a terrible sense of direction. And admitting I'm lost is always a little embarrassing. What do you think it is about asking for directions that feels so vulnerable?
It's interesting, isn't it? There's a certain level of trust we have to place in a complete stranger when we ask for directions. We're admitting we don't know where we're going, which can feel like a blow to our pride or sense of independence. And we're relying on their knowledge and goodwill to guide us.
It's amazing how much psychology is packed into that simple act of asking for directions. What makes us choose who to ask? Is it body language? A friendly face? A certain confidence in their stride?
That's a fascinating question. It makes me think about all those subconscious cues we pick up on when we're evaluating someone's trustworthiness. We might look for someone who seems approachable and confident, someone who appears to be familiar with the area.
It's like our brains are constantly scanning our environment, making these snap judgments. Based on a complex mix of intuition and social cues, it's incredible how much is happening beneath the surface of these everyday interactions. Okay, let's shift gears and talk about something deeply personal. Expressing feelings. Our lesson offers up sentences like, I'm happy today, I'm tired after work, and I'm excited to learn English.
Very
What makes these simple expressions of emotions so powerful, especially in a world that often prioritizes logic and reason?
I think in a world that often prizes rationality and objectivity, it's easy to underestimate the importance of emotional literacy. Being able to identify and articulate our feelings, even with simple language, is crucial for self-awareness, for building healthy relationships, and for navigating the complexities of human experience.
You know, I find that sometimes. Just putting a name to a feeling can be incredibly validating. It's like you're giving yourself permission to feel what you're feeling, without judgment. It's interesting that our lesson focuses on positive feelings. I wonder if there's a reason for that.
That's a great observation. Perhaps it's because expressing positive emotions can create a more positive and supportive learning environment. But it's also important to remember that all emotions are valid, and learning to express a full range of emotions, even those considered negative, is an important part of emotional intelligence. It's about creating a safe space to acknowledge and understand our own feelings and those of others.
Absolutely. It's about embracing the full spectrum of human experience, not just the happy parts. Okay, let's wrap up this section with something that always fascinates me. Goodbyes. Our lesson offers a variety of options, from the casual, see you later, to the more formal, it was nice talking to you. What are your thoughts on the art of saying goodbye? It's like the final brushstroke on a painting, leaving a lasting impression, don't you think?
I love that analogy. You're right. The way we say goodbye can have a profound impact on how an interaction is remembered. It's like we're framing the entire experience with those final words.
I'm curious, do you have a favorite goodbye phrase? I'm partial to "have a great day." It's just so upbeat and optimistic. Feels like a little gift you're giving someone as they walk away.
I like that. It's almost like you're sending them off with a little boost of positivity. But I can see how different situations call for different goodbyes. Like, see you later suggests a casual ongoing connection, while something like, it was a pleasure meeting you, feels more formal and might be more appropriate for a business setting, you know?
Exactly. We're intuitively adapting our language to fit the context and the relationship. And just like with those subtle differences in greetings, the way we say goodbye can reveal a lot about our social awareness and our understanding of unspoken rules. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the hidden power of simple sentences, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is that even the most basic phrases we use every day carry a surprising amount of weight and meaning. They're not just tools for conveying information, they're tools for building relationships, expressing ourselves, and navigating the complexities of human interaction.
We started with a simple beginner English lesson, but we've uncovered so much more than just grammar rules. It's like we've peeled back the layers of everyday language and discovered a whole new world of nuance and subtlety.
And what's really exciting is that this awareness is just the beginning. The more you pay attention to the power of simple sentences, the more you can use them intentionally to create more meaningful connections and shape your own communication style.
It's like we're all walking around with these incredible tools in our pockets, and now we're starting to understand how to use them more effectively. So for those listening out there, I encourage you to pay attention to the simple sentences you use in your daily life. What impact are you creating? What can you learn from others' communication styles?
Remember, even the smallest interactions can have a ripple effect. By being mindful of the power of our words, we can create a more positive and understanding world, one simple sentence at a time.
That's a beautiful thought to end on. Thank you so much for taking us on this fascinating deep dive into the world of simple sentences. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep the conversation going.